Welcome to the podcast, Chad Garrett and Dwayne Addington. Pleasure to have you both on. Chad, you're the owner of a company called WellNexa, and Dwayne, you're head of affiliates. Like you're the VP of the affiliate platform. So you guys are really the spearheads. You know, the guys who Chad, you came up with the concept. It's you're kind of picking up on a surf that's like a huge wave right now, the fat loss market, and then now. Dwayne, now you're looking to spearhead it and build an army of affiliates out there to promote the hell out of this thing. I mean, it's a fantastic market to be in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that I'm talking about? WellNexa, semaglutide, an AG1 agonist. Give me a little idea of, or at least by proxy, me to our viewers, what semaglutide is, what it does, what an AG1 agonist is.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I think the weight loss market as a whole has always been huge. Holistically, whether it's fitness or other types of things. But if you look at the medical side of it, it's changed dramatically. There were things in the 90s that were kind of a fad, but they were stimulants and they weren't necessarily good for you. And they left the market.
Like ephedrine.
That's right. Right. But everything changed about 8 years ago. There was a class of medications that were brought to market for diabetics, actually. And these are medications that are built with peptides. They're not your classic synthetic drugs. They use peptides, which are essentially proteins that are already in your body. But they were designed to work with your pancreas to create more insulin and help those who needed help. But a funny thing happened about several years into it. They noticed that everyone that was on these medications, on average, was losing quite a bit of weight. So they started more, they delved deeper into it. They started looking into, well, what's really happening here? And by the way, this is not classic to this medication. Every drug starts out with a classic modality or treatment path, and some things are seen, some side effects are seen, and sometimes positive things. In this case, it was very positive. People were losing a good amount of weight, and the correlation between weight and being healthier related to diabetes is strong and positive. So what they found was they did a lot of studies, and these people were losing on average 15% of their body weight. So after more digging in with the FDA in the US specifically, not speaking of the more global market, but in the FDA in the US, they went ahead and they approved it for lifetime use, which is fantastic, specifically for weight loss. So no longer are you required to be a diabetic. You could be pre-diabetic, in which case you're trying to avoid that. Or you could be the classic, those who hit your 30s or 40s or 50s, and you just can't get rid of that nagging 15 or 20. And the whole idea here is to break the cycle. So we get referred a lot by doctors who want to help their clients break the cycle, and they're not pre-diabetic and otherwise. So that's the foundation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm just going through my notes here because I need notes for this topic, right? Because this isn't just a typical, like I'm an enthusiast when it comes to this because I want to lose weight. I always have sticking points. I shouldn't say that like flippantly because I don't have a weight problem, but just because I'm vain. I'm vain, and I think that sometimes it's hard to get into the gym. Like I want to get involved with this stuff, but you have to go to a doctor. You have to get some kind of a medical examination to qualify you for this. Because I remember I was going through my notes, doing some research prior to this. Of course, I just realized earlier I said AG1 agonist. I meant GLP-1. AG1 is that friggin' that juice drink or whatever it is that's being promoted.
Yeah.
That's it. It's a green juice, and I'm like,
this is now an advertisement for Athletic Greens, which I use. And it's a great product.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but all I do know, that's some good marketing, right? Because they're just hammering that thing into my head. I'm thinking GLP-1. And AG1 comes out my mouth. So yeah, it's a GLP-1 agonist. And one of the things I noticed was there are other drugs that have had this kind of benefit. Like for example, testosterone and Anavar being they were initially for where there was where people like muscle degeneration diseases and that sort of thing, right? Where you would have these testosterone or hormone supplements to essentially stop muscle wasting, like so you don't just disappear away. Now, of course, they have other benefits as a PED, as a performance enhancing drug in sports, and we all know about steroids in sports. But like testosterone is genuinely healthy for males, and we can actually get it prescribed by a doctor. And it's kind of like, I can almost see this taking a similar track. Like people can say, look, I have this weight issue. This is my this has been my struggle for X amount of time, or this is a condition I have which is causing this.
Yeah.
How can I get access to this? And this is right. As long as there's that medical examination in between, you can then, I think, is that the only bottleneck here? Is that where they just, that's the hurdle someone would need to go past? So I see this thing being sold in Costco right now. Well, what's the other brand names for it?
Well, so there's two questions there. One, yeah, the short answer, has to be medically supervised. If any of you out there are offered these GLP-1s, and then we'll talk about the names in just a minute, but without doctor supervision, that is a huge red flag to run away.
Right.
Yeah, these are definitely medications that should be prescribed by a doctor, which we have on staff for our service. But back to your second question, that's one of my favorite questions, because there's a lot of noise in the market. Kind of your opening monologue, you said it's a hot market and there's a big wave, and that's true. And
I mean, it's the fat loss market. It's the slim pill injection.
Weight loss. But you're right. So there's a lot of names. So let me kind of break it down for you. And this will probably help a lot of people in the audience who don't know, connect a few dots. But you hear Ozempic, you hear Mounjaro. Those are name brands. That's like Mercedes or Ford or Ferrari. I have to mention Ferrari since they won last weekend in Formula One. Actually placed P1 and P3. Having said that, those are name brands.
You're clearly a fan there, making that.
They're name brands, right? If you were to lift the hood on those cars and look underneath, Ozempic, as an example, is a drug called semaglutide. Mounjaro is tirzepatide. Those are the two names that are literally kind of one layer down, if you will. You'll see lots of name brands across the top, but if you actually do one level of research online, you'll find out that all the drugs out there are either a semaglutide or a tirzepatide.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, these are the two that are basically clinically proven to work. Point blank. Period. Like this isn't like, hey, if you take ephedra, you're definitely going to burn fat, but you also might get a heart attack.
Right.
This isn't, where people take steroids and they think, oh, I'm going to lose weight with steroids. And it's like, actually, no, steroids are designed to build muscle.
That's right.
A byproduct is losing weight because you work out harder. But they're not essentially fat loss drugs. This is specifically, and I'm looking at this, by the way, the conversation, by the way, is from the I'm a novice, obviously, but I look at this as like a, someone who's thinking, could I put this in my arsenal, if I have weight problems later on? Like if I'm getting to, I'm an Indian. I'm Indian as in India from like South Asia, India, right? That means I got bad genetics for later on in life. We either come skinny or fat. Okay. All right. So I think I got the fat gene. So I'm growing. I know I can't escape it. I'm in my late 40s now. Running around the block doesn't do what it used to do. So I know that this is coming, and I'm thinking, okay, so what can I do to make life easier? But I know that I shouldn't be looking at this through that lens, but I can't help it.
It's like the human condition, I think. But, the science behind it is really cool. I've just been 2 minutes on that, like how it actually works. Because we get that question all the time. And it's pretty simple in its nature. Remember, these are built on peptides, which are proteins. And all of us have all these proteins in our bodies that do all sorts of things. And they send certain signals and work with different organs in the body. In the case of this class of drug, the way they were designed was to work with the pancreas to produce more insulin. However, the positive side effect was with these was it told your small intestines to slow down the processing of your food, which that's good. You get more nutrients out of it. But interestingly enough, when you slow that down, it sends a signal to your stomach that, hey, time out. You're not hungry. You don't need any more food. We've got plenty of food going on right here. So you have this kind of positive reinforcement between those interactions, which reduces your hunger, which essentially reduces your cravings. And interestingly enough, that's a great topic. I don't know if we have time today, but cravings are, beyond just food. But as it relates to food, people lose cravings for carbs and chocolates and all those things, which ultimately slows down your ingestion of things that probably you shouldn't be eating or you've been eating too much of.
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
that's how it actually works with your body, and it partners with the system to actually give you
Which
a loss in weight.
we even had a conversation last week with a client. She said she's really loves her beer, right? So every night she likes to have at least 3 or 4 beers. And she said because of getting on semaglutide, she gets halfway through her first beer and she just puts it down and goes, you know what? I'm full. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore tonight.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's sending a signal. It's not really against the. Is it saying no to alcohol, or is it saying just I don't need the extra carbs? I don't
Well,
need.
they don't know yet. There's heavy research. If you dig far enough online, you'll find that there's a huge study going on now with a large group of truly alcoholics, and they're using these drugs to treat them. Obviously, they have placebos and all the rest, but they're trying to figure out the correlation. So I mean, Dwayne's point is really valid. It's super interesting how many of our clients who love to self-medicate and have their 1 or 2 glasses of wine or whatever, just to unwind or reduce the stress, nightly or more than a couple times a week. And they're coming back and saying, you know what? I still like drinking, but just not as much. Now, a lot of people would obviously argue that the less you drink, the less you pack on from a weight perspective. So that's kind of helping as well. But there are a lot of people who want to break the cycle and maybe not drink as much. And they're coming back to us and kind of saying, hey, I've got some great feedback for you. So.
Well, that's it. Because like some of the things I made a point to write down to ask you guys was like, there are other benefits. Like you've got blood sugar control, appetite control, and weight loss being the first one. Cardiovascular benefits as well. I mean, there's so many, because obviously if you're losing weight, I mean, I don't know how does this have an effect on your cardiovascular outside of just reducing weight and giving you more steam, more gump?
First of all, I'm not a doctor, but I did play one on television. But we have several doctors on staff and we defer to them all the time. It's really interesting, Sav. Like one of our doctors, when we brought her on, I asked her, do you have a preference for semaglutide or tirzepatide? And if so, why? I was super curious. And you know what she said? She said, look, we don't really have a strong preference. First, we look at their history. We look at the medications they're taking. She said, but there is one interesting point. I'm like, well, what is it? She said, you're going to find very soon there's going to be a press release, going to be a lot of findings that there's a direct correlation between heart disease, weight loss, and semaglutide specifically, or tirzepatide, actually reducing risk of heart disease or heart attack. And interestingly enough, they came out, I don't know, a month or 2 ago, and all the studies are showing that if you are either obese or overweight enough, and you do have history of or heart disease yourself, that they are recommending some treatments with semaglutide. So again, another positive impact. I don't know all the science discreetly, but I can tell you that it is a thing. It's a thing. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there seems to be like a lot of unknown with it, right? There's these things that have like been proven to work, and we can see the application of it. Yeah. I've read. I mean, my first introduction to semaglutide was actually in a paper called The Economist, right? I read a special report on it, and it was this big long report, really breaking down the reasons why it was so awesome. People were like Elon Musk at the time. This is back 2000. This is last year. Elon Musk, promoted it as like amazing. This is the best thing. This is sliced bread. So many celebrities are taking it, but this doesn't actually have to be that secret thing that only celebrities have access to. This is actually this isn't just a fat loss thing. This is has genuine application and is going to be available through your doctors essentially, under some kind of a prescription, primarily for diabetes, but also for like weight management and a bunch of other stuff. That, you know, and that was where the report went really deep, which kind of goes to what you're saying here. It's like there's a lot of stuff that is beneficial from this, but we're just not seeing exactly how. But the good news is it's not negative. Like this, so far, I haven't really read anything about it being negative. I've heard people saying, "Oh, it's as soon as you come off it, you're going to get all the weight back because you can't curb your cravings." I mean, have you seen that, or is that just people just like hating on it? Like, is that real? If I lose 30 pounds of weight and I'm trimmed down, and I start eating like a horse again, but how, like, it's not going to come back instantly. I still have to grow those fat cells back, right? The fat's gone. It's not that I'm going to just balloon out. It's not like, you know, when people jump on like creatine or some kind of a steroid and they kind of fill up with water, and then as soon as they come off it, they lose it all, and inside of a couple of weeks you're going to see this big shift. Does that happen with semaglutide?
Look, I mean, like, we're all humans. Some humans have great habits, other humans have very bad habits, or a combination of the two. I probably fall in the middle somewhere. But look, if you look at the drug as the miracle drug where the rest of your life you'll drop X amount of weight and you'll stay there forever, it's a pretty naive thought. So if you remember earlier, I talked about breaking the cycle, a lot of referrals from doctors to get that 15 or 20 off. It goes without saying that, you know, nutrition, fitness, and accountability, like a lifestyle change, is important. A lot of people who come to us say, look, I've gained 30, 40, 50. My knees hurt. I used to walk my whole life. That's how I kept my weight off. Now I'm in my mid 40s. I can't walk anymore. So now I'm gaining more and more and more because I'm not mobile. If you could help me break the cycle per my doctor's recommendation, I can get back to walking again. That's the right mindset. So we have a kind of surround the client approach of, you know, nutrition, fitness, and accountability to kind of help them get ready for a transition to a healthier life. So I think the real answer is, if you have good habits, or you at least give it the old college try, or the uni try, as you might say in the UK, how can you not like have the upper hand? It's the people who drink 6 sodas a day and who kind of throw caution to the wind, come in and do it. I think they're in for a rude awakening down the road. I think it's just basic common sense.
Okay, that makes sense. I drink 6 sodas a day, but they're diet. So I'm told that the E factors in there, the E numbers in there are just as bad as the sugar. But I'm like, well, one is an actual calorie, and one isn't. One has this distant potential of danger, whereas the calories are the things. But I get it. I get it. Like, break cycles. This can get you back on track. This can get you where you need to be, but then it can be administered at different phases, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be something you stay on forever.
No, and there are a lot of doctors who also believe in kind of maintenance versions of the drug. So imagine you go lose that 30 or 40 or whatever it is, and you come off of it and you do pretty well, and you might gain some back depending on your specific situation. There are a lot of doctors who believe in kind of, it has been approved for lifetime use, like I said. So maybe a very vastly reduced dosage and less frequent amount of time, because the way the drug is designed today, essentially 1 injection a week.
Speaking of doses, when you say 1 injection, I've seen that 1 injection a week. And I went online, but there's like, there's all these different levels, right? That you can't just start at 1 milligram or something. Like, you want to start with like 0.25. Can you give us, and actually, so speaking of doses, I know behind you there's a vial. When like, normally you see the pen, right? So you have a vial. I actually initially like thought that was, it's tablet form. Like, is it only something that can be taken as an injectable, or can you get this in pill form, or and what kind of doses like, how does this thing start? Can you just jump in at like a high dose and be like, yeah, I'm taking this, I'm going to stop eating forever?
It's a really great question. A lot of people are, well, like I think in the world of, of everything being at your fingertips, I think the world has become kind of wants instant gratification. So these medications, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on television either, but you start out at a very low dose. You have to get your body used to it, and then you essentially gradually go up. So the first month typically is kind of the slow ramp, and then really start getting into more the second month, and so on. And we're all humans. We're all made of the same basic building blocks, but we're all different as well. So some people might need a bit more. Some people might do really well for 3 or 4 months, and then they kind of plateau, in which case you need a little more. That's why it's medically supervised. That's where the S word comes in. You asked another question about the vial. So there are options in the name brands with the pens, and those are the intellectual property of those particular companies. If we were to sell one of those as an example, it would be at the then list price and so on. But that's not what we do. We offer the compounded solution. So having said that, it does come in a vial. People either come to the office for the injections, or we teach them to do it for themselves and coach them through that process. So,
but does this go into the fat? I remember like reading something about that. Like, well, I had peptides once. I went to when I was getting hormone treatment in the US. I was getting some peptide treatment, and I had to inject it into the fat of my belly. Is this kind of the same thing? Like, it doesn't go into the muscle?
Yeah, I don't know if muffin top is an international.
I think it is. I think it is.
Just right here. But what I like to tell people is,
so it feels like a cat scratch. It doesn't feel like anything.
What's that?
It feels like a little cat scratch. It doesn't feel like anything. It's like it just goes like the tiniest little pinch. It's like one of those insulin needles, right? It's nothing.
It totally is.
Yeah.
The needles we use are insulin needles, and they are the thinnest needles you can get. So they bend very easily. They're that thin, and they're literally using U.S. measurements. It's half an inch basically. So it's very light versus like intramuscular, which like something like a B12 shot or something you have to give in the leg or into the muscle.
It hurts.
These are very light. We get a lot of people who come in and they're like, can't look at a needle, can't touch a needle, and after we've given them shots and they're seeing the weight they're losing, they're getting more confident, and they see it week after week. Then it's funny, they start giving themselves a shot in the office. And before you know it, they magically aren't showing up for those meetings anymore.
I can see that being the case. I can see. I have questions actually on like the future of peptides and this type of thing, because I have had some experience personally, like with these. I forget the name of these peptides, but they were essentially They were there to help increase testosterone. That's what I think they were to do with, if I recall. That was the plan. But they made me really.
Of your wife? Just kidding.
Yeah, well, no. This is me because I found out I wanted to get big and muscular. I wanted to get steroids, point blank period. I wanted to get on steroids. And I looked on the internet and I was like, this stuff looks dodgy as hell. I don't want to buy it. I don't know what I'll be injecting. I need like pharmaceutical grade, and pharmaceutical grades are not going to sell me these kind of like crazy steroids that these bodybuilders are talking about. So I just actually went to a testosterone clinic, because then I found like the legit version. Went to a testosterone clinic and said, hey, look, how do I get onto testosterone? Well, we have to check your numbers. We've got to see if you even need it. You've got a full beard over there, Sav. Not so sure you need all that testosterone in you. I'm like, well, let's run the numbers, take some blood. Anyway, they found that I could start off with like not full on testosterone, but I could get these peptides, right? Which would give me a boost, and it'd make me really hungry. I think they were like, when I'd inject them, they'd have like these other little side effects instantly. There's like ghrelin or something that would like form, which would be that hunger bug, right? That little grumbling sensation in your belly where you want to eat, and you get that. So you have to resist that for 15 minutes. Do you get anything like that with this? Is there anything like once you've taken it, there's like a little window of like, you're super hungry, you just have to resist, or is it nothing?
Well, if this medication made you super hungry, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Look, you remember we talked about how it worked with the intestines telling your stomach
Yeah.
and all, signaling. It's that. I mean, the vast majority of our clients in the first week, they report some weight loss, a pound or two, and they definitely report a massive kind of reduction in their hunger. There are those who we need to get to the next level before they report that, but well more than half of them kind of definitely report those things, cravings and all that. You made a good point though about peptides.
Right.
The reason why I wanted to get in this business is, I'm not a kid anymore. You can kind of see the gray Gen X guy, but anti-aging, anti-inflammation, recovery. If you have an injury or you've had surgery,
Libido.
Yeah, like absolutely, sexual health, all those things. There's a broad category where these peptides are kind of really just storming into the market. And one of the first doctor that we started working with, as we were interviewing, he said, "Chad, 5 years you won't even recognize like the offerings in the market in those 4 categories we just mentioned, because it's just the science is just exploding." And Ozempic really kind of paved the way with this weight loss. But all these other categories will start serving, the aging population and kind of help people age, more gracefully, recover more gracefully, and get to the things that they want to do more in life.
Is that the mission for WellNexa then? That's
really
the goal.
Absolutely.
Because I saw something recently. I actually wanted to bring it up to you because I sign up to, I don't know if you know this guy, Grant Cardone. He's really big on the internet in the real estate space, sales training space. He's like one of those trainers, gurus, but he's actually kind of grown beyond that. He's pretty big. And I followed him for some time and he's always selling real estate. But something he set up recently was like 10x health. And, through one genetic test, they'll kind of give them the roadmap to you. And so then they could start prescribing nutrition, weight analysis, and they'll give you like precision supplements that you can take. And there's even like IV, so basically they're productizing it. They're figuring out how they can sell you stuff through this genetic test that they can do. Then there's like precision weight management. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something to do with semaglutide in there as well, like, or even testosterone. So I know that he's kind of built this brand, and like, I feel like he's partnered with medical professionals in the space, clinics in the space that can actually provide the actual services. So I can see, and he's a bigger name that I'm noticing do that. That's kind of like a personal brand, like an individual he's using his personal brand to promote it. But I can also see a lot of other companies jumping on this horse, like, because this is, there's a lot of money sitting at the top age bracket right now, and people don't necessarily want to feel as old as they are getting, and they want to look at ways in which, I think there's a lot of people online right now talking about how to like just turn back the clock. Like, what was that other one that I was reading a lot into? Was it stem cell treatment? I was like, what's that? Stem cells? You harvest stem cells? So when my kids were being born, I was looking at that I was like, hey, how can I get hold of that? It's like,
right.
You're right. Like,
that technology is very real. I spent the last almost 4 years of my life in my previous company working in the pharma industry, which really inspired me to kind of go where I'm going now. But the net of it is, if you talk to the big pharma companies, there is a very real effort around personalized medicine. Again, we're all made from the same basic building blocks, but things that are specific to you. One of my clients, their mission was to, withdraw your blood and within 2 hours, treat your specific, problem, do whatever they need to do with the platelets and all the rest of it, put it back into your body and do precision medicine as well. So that is not going to be too far off in the future. There's a lot of things being progressed around that. There's even a biopharma company that's in the process of bringing the mammoths back. So if you want to talk about Jurassic Park, if you look them up, I think they're called Mammoth Therapeutics, but they actually have DNA from frozen mammoths in the Arctic or wherever they found them, or Russia, way up near the polar cap.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
they actually have extracted that very much like Jurassic Park, and they're crossbreeding them with modern elephants. And their whole mission is to bring the mammoth back. So if you
Isn't
think
that
that's
crazy?
far-fetched,
I mean,
it's not. Yeah.
just to interject, I mean, sidebar, right? They're doing the Jurassic Park thing. Okay, now we talked about I've had this conversation before
You heard
about
it here
AI.
first, ladies and gentlemen.
Like they released AI, we got Skynet coming, we got Terminators walking around, we got Matrix.
We're going to have mammoths and T-Rexes.
Now we're going to have mammoths and bloody So we've imagined it. We're actually doing it. It's like at every stage.
Oh, look it up. I'm not yanking your chain. I'm telling you, it's the truth. Right?
This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy but it's true. I believe you. I believe that that's happening.
It all starts with this.
Because we don't want that, right? That's
this
it.
Is how much 5 pounds of human fat. It weighs 5 pounds.
Say that again. 5 pounds of human
5
fat.
Pounds. I'm not sure what that translates into.
It's heavy enough, dude. That's a big chunk. If I can get rid of 5 pounds.
Yeah. It literally is what we kind of make disappear, and it's not quite the size of or the weight of a bowling ball if you go bowling. But I mean, if someone says, "Well, I lost 5 pounds the first month. It wasn't really as much as I expected." This is what 5 pounds looks like. So we go from mammoths back to this, but the science is getting really interesting, and it's great to be on the front edge of it on the peptide side of things. So that's kind of why we're here.
Okay. Well, speaking about being on the front edge, you are, and this is an evolving, not as quite as fluid as say like the crypto businesses in the crypto space, but it's definitely evolving. And I'm sure you've got other kinds of constraints aside from when people want to buy it, they have to go through a medical practitioner. But I'm sure you've got like the compound clinics, I guess. I don't even know how you make it. Like, do you make it independently in different clinics, or do you have like one big factory somewhere? Do you ship it in? Like, I'm sure that there's like legalities around that you have to contend with. And
these are great points that you're bringing up, and I think it's something that we really should address is what the process actually looks like once you come into contact with WellNexa Health. Initially we do a consultation call, either Chad or myself or one of our colleagues, and just walks through your medical history, talks about what your goals are, what you're trying to do. And then ultimately we set you up with a telemed call with the doctor, or you can come into the clinic here in Alpharetta, Georgia, and we can have that call directly there. But the doctor will decide whether or not you should be prescribed this. Now, one of the things about, you mentioned compound pharmacies, is that every now and then the doctor will go, you know what, you really need B12 in addition to semaglutide, or you need, something else. And so these compound pharmacies actually make the medication, put it in the vial, and then we can either ship it to you directly, or you can come into the office and we can administer the first few injections just to teach you through the process. So I don't know if you want to add more to that, but
yeah, that's the customer side, and I think where you're also going was like the supply chain, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at like the business case, like. To stay on the customer side for a second, like, sure. I'm based in the UK. Could I buy from WellNexa? Could I have that telemedical call, be evaluated, and then make an order?
No, the medical industry is a highly regulated industry. It's not necessarily a cross-border. I mean, there are certain things that are recognized cross-border, but general health and welfare and prescription medications are very much governed by each particular country, and I imagine in some countries it might even be regional to a degree. So no, we are bound in the U.S. We're currently licensed in 20 states. It's kind of growing every month or so, and that's as a pure impact of our customer base here in the Atlanta market, and they're happy, they're feeling healthy, and they're like, hey, my cousin lives in Florida or Texas or California. Can you work with them? And we work with our doctors to get approved in those states. But to your point, if someone from the UK were to call in we would have to refer them to someone else through our network or something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So fair enough. So it's predominantly US based. And so, like I said, because what I'm about to do is kind of shift into like how you market a business like this. What do you do to kind of go against or to to compete with like the Ozempics, the Wegovys? How does the underdog kind of cut through the fat, cut through the noise, get to the customer where they're being kind of full? I mean, I know that Ozempic and stuff that they're like promoted in I mean, I keep bringing up Costco. I mean, because Costco is not the place that you'd expect to be promoting the hell out of a 12-month contract into Ozempic, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so what? This is that wonder drug. Like, obviously there's medical reasons why you should or should not use it, but people will look at it how they're going to look at it, and they're going to want to access it. So I guess where do the bottlenecks sit with you as a business? Like, are you able to like just ramp this up indefinitely and just like provide and supply, or are you having to like work with certain constraints? I mean, this is really just me asking you from a business standpoint, as an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, how to set things up here. Like if someone was to like learn from this.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dwayne brought it up. We have a local presence for the Atlanta market, which is big. It's like over 7 million in the city. And even marketing to that has its own kind of challenges and opportunities. We've obviously extended that kind of a little more to the region. And we also find we pick up clients from Oregon and all these other states that we don't even advertise in. It's kind of interesting. That's through social. But from a elasticity standpoint, the ability to scale, we have kind of local presence and we have a telemed presence in these other states in the US. So if there were anyone out there, kind of interested in the business model, that's kind of your imprint, your local imprint. And then how much are you willing, are you able to go outside of that? And what are the technological and the governing kind of limitations around cross-border medicine in the US alone? So we've handled that through our telemedicine contracts and all the rest of it. So having said that, I think the other question was, can you bring it back in? I apologize.
Well, let's say like I've actually moved on mentally, so I can't even remember what the other question
was.
was.
We're talking about marketing, yeah.
Well, that's it. Like if you're stacked up against Ozempic and WellNexa's equivalent, like how are you going to now push? Like if they're offering this 12-month contract, what differentiates you guys? Because if it's semaglutide in both, are you competing on price? Are you competing on availability, on contract? Give us a lowdown.
2 points there, and Chad hit on it earlier. So we're working on a full whole health scenario. So it goes from fitness to nutrition to accountability to medically assisted, doctors that are walking you through this whole process. So you're not going to get that at Costco, right? Also, the second prong is it is a price play. We are a cheaper alternative to, Costco locks you in for a 12-month program versus with us, you can go month to month, you can go, every 3 months, whatever works best for you price wise. But I think one of the key things there that we're offering is not just, we can help you with the medication, we can work you through the shots, but also we can be your accountability partner. And for me, and I know you're a gym rat, like myself. So when I started working out, I hired a trainer immediately, not because I didn't know the exercises. I know what I can do in the gym. I know where to go, but I was accountable to him every single day. And if I didn't show up, that money was spent regardless. So I had to be there. I had to be accountable. And then he would grill me on, so what'd you drink last night? What did you eat last night? What did you do today? And so those are perspectives that we add in addition to the medication that I think are building towards longer term goals and those long term strategies, like you were saying earlier about, what if you get off of it and you start gaining the weight back? Well, these are more the long term plans.
Yeah. So just to further on what Dwayne said, look, price is a powerful thing. And we don't want to be the cheap solution. We want to be affordable, but we want to be mindful that we want to kill them with incredible service. It's a really critical part. I think post COVID, the world is suffering from customer service fatigue, meaning there is very little accountability with companies on treating customers with extreme respect and dignity, and being a partner with those customers in the case of us. So we intend to differentiate as it relates to price, of course, adding value around it. And when people walk away, go, wow, that was a great experience. Just like going to one restaurant after months of going into London, Sav, and you're like, holy crap, those guys were so attentive. The service is great. It might have been a little more expensive or whatever, but I'd rather spend my money with those guys. So we honestly want to tap into that because that's incredibly important in the human experience. And let's face it, weight loss is an emotional thing. So
I think that's the best way. I think what you're saying there is incredibly important for anyone who's trying to sell anything in business. Like if you don't want to just have a price, from a price standpoint, you don't want to just kind of race to the bottom and provide the cheapest, but equally you don't want to just jump to the top and be the most expensive for the sake of it, especially in this case when the drug is the drug. It's semaglutide in both, right? So like how do you then get access to customers? And I think if I was like just evaluate your business strategy, I think it's a fantastic one in that if you're packaging a journey with it, it's a bundle of options. Like you've got the consultation. It's kind of like the fitness program. It's your weight management program. It's not just a doctor saying, here, have this, go and buy it, pick it up from Costco and on your way. This is we're going to work with you. We're going to take you through this and we're going to take you off it when necessary or maybe switch you into something else. I know you mentioned alternative there. Like this, that's what the thing is. It's like, WellNexa's, the way I was looking at your website, it's like you're not really an alternative product because the product essentially is the same. It's the same drug. So it's like you're an alternative service. It's like, do you want to just go there and get the pen and treat it like an insulin shot, or do you want to come on a program here where you make sure you don't stay on this forever, you deal with the cycle, and then there are other things. I mean, you mentioned the other peptides that you're bringing on that could be added in place of semaglutide. Like, okay, you've done your semaglutide cycle. Now you can switch into XYZ.
From your words, from your lips to God's ears, it's like exactly what you'll start seeing the website evolve as much more service oriented, program oriented, always focused on value, and price is a really important element. As the world goes through the inflation and whatever we're going through now, it's critically important we pay attention to price point. But I'm going to say this: like weight loss is a journey, and as it pertains to our affiliate program, which is evolving as well, it's a journey with our potential affiliates, and we want to make sure we map to affiliates that have similar brand or philosophies on brand and what they're trying to do. We just don't want to just run to anyone and say, hey, go out and hawk our stuff. We've got a brand that we want to uphold as well.
But here's the thing, like in fitness. All right. So I was just, when you were talking about affiliates, I was thinking fitness influencers, like as affiliates, like the guys who keep drumming that bloody AG1 into my head, right? Hey man, you should buy, like, it's like, it just seared into my mind there. I'm so embarrassed I said that in the beginning. But it's
the subliminal message is the color.
Right. That's it. I think there's a bunch of factors.
About the same color green as
But fitness influencers, for instance, and I say these are people who are promoting things all the time. Are there any limitations to like how they present semaglutide, or is it kind of like financial services, other kind of pharmaceutical? Like you can't say certain things about it. You can't say it's a fat loss thing. It has to be worded the correct way. Like, could you actually get a a lot of affiliates to promote this in a way that's kind of natural to them without them sounding like robots, like trying to promote a financial services opportunity.
We've got some great stories around that, actually. Chad and I we attended a bridal show in downtown Atlanta a month ago maybe, and it was funny because there was a lot of workout facilities that were presenting themselves there in booth kind of formats, and we approached one directly, and it was a great story because I said, you probably want to do this with your clients organically. You just want them to lose weight through working out and going through your process and everything. And she said, let me stop you right there. There are studies out right now that we've found that show that semaglutide use along with exercise leads to less than 5% muscle loss within the first year of your being on this program. So she's like, we are big proponents for this. We just don't happen to deal in semaglutide. We encourage people to work out. So we're working with them to partner, but that's just one example, but Chad's uncovered multiple more throughout this last year. So we're working on those kind of opportunities where people see the combination of fitness overall with semaglutide or tirzepatide, whatever it is that they want to go down, what path they want to go down, is being very, very effective.
Yeah, and then you talked about what I call enabling the influencer or the affiliate. That's something that we will be doing. There are several kind of like third rail kind of ways to describe it that the government, or the FDA does not particularly like. Let's face it, like Ozempic is one example, not to pick on them at all. We totally respect them. They validate the market. We're compounded, they're not, all the rest. Having said that,
and I'll just say the Ozempic ad, the commercial that was floating around for the longest,
that's great.
I thought it was trash. I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, it was just some dude running around.
The jingle was so good. Everybody
was just be moving around. I was like, so what? What did they do? Is this a pain med? Is this for pain management? It must be pain med.
I think all the pharmaceutical commercials are very confusing. But I mean, the jingle is undeniably brilliant, I think. But yeah, no, there are certain things you shouldn't say. So we owe that to our affiliate or influencer or whoever to teach them. But to your point, if it doesn't like fit their brand or how they communicate and all the rest, then it's probably not a good fit. So we're good humans. First of all, we offer a great service to really help other people out. We lead with, we feel like the high moral things, the package and the partnering with the client. And if somebody is out to try to kind of be, slinging things around and all the rest and not really thinking about it, not really even caring and identifying with the product, then quite frankly, it's just not a good move. So I think the match is really important. I think it's enabling them with the basic tools to understand the governance in the US specifically, because that's where we operate. And then the rest is on them. Like what's the value proposition for their audience? How does that connect the dots with the topics that they're hot with? So I imagine
it's going to be like building muscle.
What's that?
It's going to be building muscle, or it's going to be weight loss, right? It's going to be like, I want to shape and tone, or I want to just get jacked, right? That's what personal trainers for the most part are dealing with. It's like that fork in the road, right?
Yeah.
I think like if you find, thinking about it, it's like I could imagine this in the same way everything else is being sold these days. Like I can imagine someone packaging it up as well, like saying, like a personal trainer saying, okay, we have this program, and it's kind of like a mimic version of your program where they've kind of branded it under. So either they're brand ambassadors for you, where they're really embedding themselves with the WellNexa brand, or like they have their own program and you're kind of finding your space in there, so they have their 12-week weight loss. And then and we can guarantee 5 pounds of fat in 30 days, provided you as per terms and conditions, go take some semaglutide, and we'll guarantee in 30 days all your money back, right? I think that would be a misuse of probably the promotion, but certainly,
I think you nailed it. I don't think we have the brand permission in the market to kind of like have people build it around us. I think we need to fit with whatever they have. And you use the word package perfectly. This is how they work with their clients. This is how they care for their clients. This is how they market to their clients. If we can be like a trusted, authentic, authoritative partner around the medically provided portion of their offering, then by God, that's exactly what we want to be. We have several clients today that have brick and mortars, and we have very professional signage, similar to what you see behind us. Statements like, hey, we partnered with WellNexa to do medically supervised weight loss programs. And,
I think
I'm not going to say what kind of business, right? I'm not going to say what kind of business they're in, but they don't have the brand or the permission to say, hey, we have doctors, because if you walk into their office, I'm not going to say what they are, but it could be a gym. Everyone knows that gym doesn't have a doctor, but hey, if they're partnering with a reputable brand to offer the service, and someone that kind of holds themselves high and accountable, everything, all the digital assets.
Well, that will also, I think that will help them as well with their own credibility. It's like,
absolutely.
It's not just, I'm just a doctor out of nowhere. You know me as a personal trainer, or a gym, but here we have partnered with. So this is now, it's no longer a gym, it's a health club. Or it's a wellness center now, right? So you can come in here, work out, and we'll put you on a program because we are partnered with WellNexa. We have a nutrition plan for you, and we have a supplement plan, and we have a medical plan here too.
That's right.
So that could be.
Pertains to our affiliates, we want to fit into the rhythm of how they do business. We did mention that we're going to be offering some programs with our direct clients, but we're not here to kind of circumvent our partners and our affiliates. We want to blend into how they run their business, and that's our absolute intent.
I think SEO, one of the things I was thinking about, and I know this just from personal, like my wife, like I'm a very outspoken person. I'll talk about things I don't know anything about. I'll speak about things I have no business talking about. Probably semaglutide was one of them. I'm just like, because I get excited about stuff. Like, to me, this is like a serious, like big step. It's a massive advancement from in our lifespan. So many things are happening with AI, with crypto, with now we've got the fat loss thing. We figured out how to make muscle only a couple, like 20, 30 years ago. So now everyone's got jacked. So it's like, okay, so everything's making sense. This generation's figured a ton of stuff out. Okay. So like, I'm loving that we're part of it. Right. So I get excited, but like my wife, for instance, when she hears about this, she'll hear it from word of mouth through a friend, but she'll want to do like her own research. I think that's where education comes in. Like, I think educating people on this without an agenda to sell it. It's like, this is what it is. But then also, I think SEO and SEM, like search engine optimization, you're able to then tap that market too. And this is really me thinking through the customer's lens of like what they would do. They'll hear about it, and then in their own time, they'll search information on it, right? And that's where you want to be to kind of capture. It's like, have a boatload of SEO out there, because what's the benefit of SEO, right? It's people, you're able to find the person who has the problem. You are now the solution, but at the exact time they search for it. Sure. That's why SEM and SEO work, because when they make that search, when they're currently looking for that information, that solution, that's where I think WellNexa can kind of come up. Just me thinking from a strategic standpoint. Yeah, I mean, you got to leverage both. I think it's the education side, it's the word of mouth, and I think even when it comes to affiliates, like having like display ads here and there, I think would work. I mean, there was another thing. God, I want to forget the name. It was a black vial, a black pill for testofen, test one, test or something. It was all over every commercial on any TV, anywhere for like the last couple of years. It was testosterone pills, but they're not. They're not. It's not like you're getting testosterone. It's like that crap. It's like that. There's pills full of dust that just, I don't know, make your sweat stink or something. Like, what are those things? Like, but they manage to just shove it, that they just have so many ads, they can shove it down your throat, right? But, and then they had a ton of stuff online when you said, is this real?
Yeah.
Does this really increase testosterone? They had so many blogs out there, like tons of bloggers who have been, as affiliates, who have been writing a rationale behind why it's good. And the way they would write it, it was as if it was testosterone. The blog would be about testosterone, and then they'd be promoting this not testosterone thing. And then it's like, but that's how they'd catch people. I remember looking at it. I wish I'd remember the name of this thing. You know what? I'm actually going to check, because this is going to bug me, and I feel like we need to know it.
Well, while you're looking, there is a lot of information out there about these classes of medications. There's a lot of misinformation. I would suggest to you that probably every one of our consultation calls, the percentage of people that are just terribly hungry for a human to kind of give them a, logical understanding of how the drugs work, how we work with them, what the experience would be like. Are these monitored by some federal agency so that we know they're safe? Is probably 90% easily. But you're right. Most people have done a lot of research. The question is, how educated are they on it, and have they seen through the crap? And you're talking about the crap. We found ourselves kind of catching them and trying to put some calm conversation kind of in their hands, where they can just really make some interesting decisions or decide to go do further research based on what they've heard. So,
yeah, exactly. I think I can't find it. I just tried to look for it. I really wanted to find it for you. I'll put it in the description if I find it, but then I don't want to send people there because it's a bad product in my view. So I can't do that, but okay, I get it. So let's talk about that journey again, because here's the thing. If someone's listening to this and they're using this as like to kind of get a deeper understanding of what semaglutide is, and because this appeals to everybody. Someone could be listening to this show from a business standpoint, like, what are you guys doing to set up and start and get things sold, and how do you sell a medication like this? But then they could be listening to it for that reason, but also, I'm also a bit overweight. Maybe I could send these guys an email. Like, so what would be the exact process? I know, Dwayne, I know you've mentioned this to me before, but let's just spell it out here for everybody else to understand. Like, when they reach out to WellNexa, what's the step? Because there is that medical, how do you get into that doctor, and then what happens next? What's the time horizon between when they make that first call and when they actually receive this bottle? How often do they have to take it? What kind of price points are we actually talking about? Like, is there a price that you can disclose at this time, or can you give some ballpark figures? Is it contract? Is it something that we can pay on? Do you have a payment plan for this thing? Because I know people can't get this on insurance, right?
Yeah. So first of all, we do not work with insurance. In the U.S., as an example, people that are diabetics typically can get this paid for, or it's part of their insurance plan in one way, shape, or form. So diabetics are being served. So we made a conscious decision not to go there. We didn't have to hire all the staff to work with insurance companies and build relationships directly with the manufacturers of Ozempic, as again, we keep using that example. It's just an easy one. So again, we're here to serve pre-diabetic people that clearly need to change their lifestyle, need to get management of their weight as one of the key features, and then people that need to break that cycle. So we don't take insurance. But back to the original part of the question, like, what's the experience? We have a good online presence. People contact us. They call us directly. They ask for a consultation. We typically have about a 10 to 15 minute call initially to kind of answer any questions. We'll expand that as needed. A lot of times that's all that's needed. And then for the local residents that would come in, we would have a more holistic conversation about a program. If someone's in another state across the country, we have not yet released that. So we will have some of those online. But the folks that are not in Georgia, as an example, we just work with them over the phone. We set them up with the doctor. That could be same day, next day, 2 or 3 days from now, depends on their mutual calendars. They fill out a medical history form. They talk to the doctor 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it takes to answer all the questions or diagnose. Once that prescription is written, if it's written, that's at the full discretion of the doctor. Then our office manager and the operations team will reach out to those folks, and we would order their meds and have it shipped directly from the manufacturer to their home. If they're local, it would be the same, only a little more hands-on. They come into the office. We'd have the conversation with the doctor. We'd have that more holistic conversation about their long-term health goals, what a program could look like for them, and then we do the same basic process. So end to end, between taking the first call and someone getting their medication, literally could be as many as 3 to 5 days. Yeah, that's really it. So it's pretty quick.
Okay. And the affiliates, I've got a question because I know every affiliate that's listening to this is like, what? I can sell the fat loss drug? Because there's no affiliate program that's going to work like this for Ozempic. But you guys have an affiliate program. And that means that any affiliate out there, like anyone who's commercially minded, who can look at this and recognize that they can now sell the fat loss drug, the weight loss drug. This is really what it is. So it's like, and they're probably thinking of all sorts of different ways that they could promote it, through blogs, through videos, through their network of pre-existing platforms, and all the people, places, and things that already have access to those customers that they want to, leverage. When you guys have a commission, an affiliate commission, do you guys have it as just a one-time commission payment, or is it something? Because this is a key, by the way. Is it on the life cycle or the lifetime of the client? Like, so if they're getting the supplements month 1, month 2, all the way through forever, will the affiliate earn off that, or is it just a one-time introduction fee?
So the initial programs that we have today are a one-time referral fee. Remember, we have to handle everything from the consultation to setting up the doctor's appointment, to providing the doctors, to having all the appropriate licensing, to then getting the prescription written in the legal structure it should be for whatever state it's in. And we have to fulfill that through our many different manufacturing partners across the US. And we have to have that shipped to the customer, and then we have to medically supervise that. If I were an affiliate, I would not want to be involved in that end-to-end logistics process. I would want to leverage my network and monetize it. And phase 1 of this has been initially that referral fee for the affiliate partner, so that they're paid when we get a contracted client. Now, we have had advanced conversations with a few companies, or we're looking at potentially taking that downstream as well. And we're open to that for the right affiliate. We just haven't yet found the one that really has the kind of the need, desire, and or the real true use case to go drive that. So if someone out there thinks they're the pilot or the perfect profile for that, we'll absolutely have the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ticket there.
Yeah.
When you're looking at it through the eyes of an affiliate, you're thinking, okay, so you get your little spreadsheet out and you're thinking, if I get 5 this month, then that's how much it's going to be recurring. And then, so if I average 5 per month, then that's what it's going to be. And if those people go up doses, then that could be earning this much. So you start, you become spreadsheet millionaires overnight. It's pretty quick. So, but that's the thought process. That's what people are thinking when they're looking at new products. And how they
definitely a pretty lucrative initial, affiliate fee from our perspective. But again, I think, the right use case comes along. We would definitely partner to get it nailed down. So it's, on the table for the right.
Well, listen, we need to so people need to speak to you. So what we'll do is, I think in the description, because you do have an affiliate program, and this is an opportunity for people to earn on the back of this tidal wave, but it's only a small swell at the moment. Like, it's going to get bigger as more companies get into this space. So if you want to get first mover advantage or first follower advantage, then I would say jump on. I would say we'll have an email. We're going to put that in the link in the description, or a link to wherever they can apply to become an affiliate. For you guys, I think that would be a good start. And I'm going to watch how this works. I'm going to keep a close eye on you guys, because, you know, this is one of those spaces where you've got, I mean, I think it's still a blue ocean out there for you. I mean, you got a couple big competitors, but I don't know how many private labels are coming out.
We don't even look at them as competitors. I mean, like, we can't touch, you know, a $40 billion, you know, market for one of the big guys. But there's so much to go around. There are so many humans on the planet. There's so much to do. We just see it as huge. Those are market makers, and you know this as well as I know your past. I really respect a lot of things you've done. I mean, it's all about scale. It's all about reaching out, touching people kind of where they are in the decision process, offering a great product at a competitive price. There will be people that only buy Ferraris. There will be people that want the Ferrari, but they'll settle for the, you know, I'm not going to name the car. I'll probably upset somebody. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they're the same same exact products. I mean, you can't kind of undesign what a GLP-1 is or what semaglutide is. The recipe is the recipe. And as we educate more people and we provide a great product, I think we'll get our fair share. And I think the affiliate program is just one example of scale that we have from our past, because we're not from the medical industry.
Oh, you can always throw stones. You can always throw stones at Big Pharma.
That's right.
You can always listen. That's a really awesome tactic. Just throw stones at the big guys. Why would you want to buy from them? I mean, God, you trust them? No. You've got to work with us, because look how, and you explain your whole process. They won't tell you anything. It's just marketing. You know, just
remember this. If you're a potential affiliate out there, you need to get one of these and walk around with it, and people will definitely respond to you.
And that's the Alibaba link for like getting 1,000 pieces of those in. Like, and we'll just send them out to customers. Here, this is what you could be losing.
That's right.
All right, awesome. Hey, thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, it was great.